It's and it's your right to have a doctor like that.
Yeah, we all need doctors who will tell us what we want to hear and not tell us what we need to hear. This is so dangerous. Guys, this is why I'm here. Jeez, I can't believe this is happening. Good morning, beautiful people. It's Mama Goob. So today I wanted to react to a video uploaded by the YouTube channel Glitter and Lasers, run by Anna O'Brien. I have been a follower of her for years. I find her clothing hauls just fascinating. When I was a kid, you never saw overweight people wearing clothes, especially stylish clothes. So I think maybe that's the reason why I was obsessed with watching her and other plus size individuals try clothes on. And it got so bad to the point of where I started receiving ads for sites like Torrid and other plus size stores, even though I was not plus size. So, but anyways, I really like her. I like her personality. I think she has bouts of mania and depression, like Amber Lynn, but she gets a little overboard. But lately, she's been ill, and personally, I think her weight has caught up with her. Plus, she developed other symptoms, which she's going to speak about in this video. And I think for Anna, I think it's time to do something drastic. So I don't know. Let's watch the video and we'll see if you agree with me. This is the first time I'm using a green screen to film one of these, so I don't know. It's as good as it's going to get for now. Like I'm telling you, Streamlabs is just not the easiest program, and I'm like a boomer. Anyways, let's get on with the video. Let's see what she has to say.
Okay, guys, it's time again for me to give you an update on my health. I do this like every quarter because it's important to me and it's something I want to share with you guys. And yeah, so if you're new to this channel or you've never like been haven't kept up to date with it.
By the way, later on, I want to do more of an in-depth look at Glitter and Lasers, or Anna O'Brien, and her struggles through the years. She's another one where she probably gained a lot of weight after she started YouTube. Not a huge amount of weight because she was always pretty big, but it's another one where she was aiming to lose weight and managed to gain it like other people we know.
Went to the doctor in October, found out some stuff that I'm working on, and it's led me to have to go to a lot of doctors. Okay.
By the way, also, if you don't know her backstory, recently, she was afraid to go to the doctor and she felt horrible. She looked horrible. And one of her friends finally said, "Look, you need to go to the doctor." So she did a lot of videos about her breaking down and going to the doctor.
So today I went to the doctor. I think I'll just start there. I'll just tell the story because it needs to be told. Today I went to the doctor. I was going to what's called an endocrinologist, and
Mm-hmm.
they look at something that's related to your endo system.
Endocrine
Endocrinologist
system.
makes sense. I was there because I've been diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is where my immune system attacks my thyroid. So
And this is the first time I believe she has come clean with what her disease is. She said a immunosuppressive disease, but that could be one of a million things. And Hashimoto's is definitely immunosuppressive. And like she said, it's where her immune system attacks her thyroid, which could lead to a lot of problems, including weight gain. But again, not this level of weight gain, but it would make it harder for her to lose weight.
for me, I need to see somebody to just make sure that my thyroid is functioning along with
Hmm.
medication as best it can. And then we've got to keep an eye out for things like cysts and tumors that can
Right.
become problems, but are also
Cancer.
very common when you have a thyroid condition. So this is like very normal stuff. That's why I was going to this doctor. That reason and that reason alone. Okay. So today I was there to get an ultrasound on my thyroid, looking for those tumors and those cysts to make sure that we don't have any issues, because you have to kind of do it every 6 months to make sure. And I was also looking at my levels, which is something that if you have a thyroid issue, you've got to get your levels done like every quarter, depending on your issue, to make sure that your medicine.
She's talking about a TSH test. I have on my other screen the endocrine.org website up. I would love to show it to you, but Streamlabs says no. So anyways, what they have to do is test that your thyroid is functioning. They give you blood tests such as a TSH test, which is a hormone. TSH is a hormone released from your pituitary gland when there's not enough thyroid hormone in the system. THS will be high if there's not enough thyroid hormone in the system. So, and then they also look for the free T4 and total T3 tests, which are also hormones, thyroid hormones. And a low level of them suggests hypothyroidism, which is what Hashimoto's would cause. So that means that that the thyroid is not functioning properly. And anti-TPO antibody test, it detects the presence of antibodies directed against the thyroid. Most people with Hashimoto's disease have these antibodies, but people with hypothyroid hypothyroidism caused by other conditions may not. TPO antibodies may also be present in normal people without hypothyroidism. So probably what happened is she wasn't feeling good. The doctors did a basic physical, ran some blood work, saw she had issues with her thyroid, and then ran more tests for this TPO. And I bet you they found these antibodies in her system. So I bet you that was her road to diagnosis.
And is still meeting your body's needs or inability, like making up for what your body's not producing, or in my case, is actively attacking because my body is literally like taking my thyroid down.
Yeah, it's
So
bad.
he does.
Autoimmune diseases are nothing to play with.
This guy like calls me back to do an ultrasound. The entire time, this man is like with the thing on my neck. I'm covered in jelly. I'm like this, and this man is rubbing the thing up and down my like throat to capture my thyroid. He's talking to me about my diabetes, which is like hilarious because I'm not there for diabetes at all. And he goes on
I think endocrinologists also are diabetes doctors, if I'm not mistaken.
and on about how sometimes you have thyroid problems because of diabetes. And I literally had to stop him in the middle of the conversation and be like, sir, I'm not here for that. I have Hashimoto's.
But the doctor should have known why she was there. That's not, and probably it wasn't a doctor, I'm sure. It was a radiologist conducting the ultrasound, probably. So they probably just assumed she was there for diabetes since that's generally what an endocrinologist sees. But still, you don't go on and on. You really shouldn't even talk to the patient about the test. I've never had anybody say that, like, even when actually it's probably even scarier when you're having an ultrasound for a baby, because if they all of a sudden get quiet, that's not a good thing. But generally, the radiologist won't talk to you about your scan.
And he looks at me and he's like, have you been diagnosed? And I was like, no, I just magically showed up and thought of this like bizarre sounding disease's name to say to you. No, I'm here because I have Hashimoto's. I didn't say it that sassily. I was very polite. And I said, no, I've been
I think it's called Hashimoto's because a lot of people got this disease after the US bombed Hiroshima or Nagasaki, and a lot of people had radiation poisoning, which radiation poisoning can also cause this.
tested. There's like a, if you're not familiar with it, Hashimoto's can be determined by a blood test. And let's just say I scored really high on that test. So it's very clear that I have Hashimoto's.
I no
So
doubt.
he's like, oh, well, I guess your thyroid does look like you have Hashimoto's because it looks, people with Hashimoto's, their thyroid looks sometimes a little bit different than someone who's just having thyroid issues or thyroid failure
Hmm.
because it's autoimmune. It's confusing. You don't need to know all the details,
It's
but yeah.
okay.
So he goes, oh yeah, I guess it does look like you have Hashimoto's. Shocker, right? Shocker. So I was kind of a little
Yes.
bit put off by this because like as a plus size person, the immediate assumption anytime you walk into doctor's office, or at least it had been in the past, is that you are there because you have diabetes. Um, I'll be real, I don't have diabetes. I was
Yet.
pre-diabetic, but we'll get to that in a second. So it didn't start off great. I didn't feel great about this experience. I felt
No,
like,
it's not fun.
geez, like, did you not even look at my chart before you pulled me in here? It's
Right.
very clear what I'm here
It's
for.
pretty crappy.
This is weird, right? So he goes, "Oh, there's no rooms open for you to sit. So go back to the lobby. They'll pull you in to go over your test results because I'd also had a lot of blood work done."
Mm-hmm.
So they pull me in a couple minutes later. The doctor sits me down and proceeds to go, "Your insulin's really high." And I said, "Well, I'm okay. Like, do I have diabetes now? Have I progressed to diabetes? I mean, that's really weird."
I wonder if they got instant blood tests. I don't know. I'm a little confused about this, but let's see.
I made a lot of changes in my life. It's sad if it is, but if it is, then I got to make more changes. Like, I was ready to hear it. And she doesn't respond. She doesn't say no. She doesn't say yes. She just like doesn't respond. And I'm like,
Nice.
okay, my insulin's high. Thanks. Right. And then she goes, "Your vitamin D is really, really bad." And I was like, yeah, I know my vitamin's D
Mm-hmm.
bad. We've been trying to
A lot of
fix
people
it.
have
I'm
vitamin
on
D
a
issues.
pretty souped up supplement. For the record, she can see all of the things I'm on.
Of
She
course.
should know what medication
Yeah, she was probably referred to this person.
I'm taking. And she goes, "What your doctor gave you is crap." Or no, what'd she say? "Is chump change. You need a stronger prescription." And I was like, okay. So she gives me a prescription and I look at it and I'm like, and then for a second, I'm like, I might be crazy here, but I'm like 99% sure this is the exact same thing I'm already taking. Like the exact same medication that I've been taking for months at this point.
This doctor sounds like a real piece of work.
And I was like, Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a higher dose, but it looks like the same damn thing." So I'm like, this feels weird. And then she goes, she looks at all my paperwork, kind of shuffles it around, puts it on the table, and she goes, "What are we going to do about your weight?" And I was
Mm,
just like, in other times, I would have been really upset,
yeah.
especially since I've been putting in a lot of work to making really positive changes in my life. But
Yeah, but she needs to do more. Well, let me let her finish.
instead, I said, "I'm okay. I'm managing that with my primary healthcare provider. I'm not interested in seeking extra consultation on that." And you could tell she was a little pissed because she was
Well, I mean, listen, an endocrinologist, they see diabetes all the time. So, let me say something, even though this might be moot in a second, but when you seek a specialist for a disease, so an example, I have multiple sclerosis. Any neurologist can handle multiple sclerosis, but trust me, you want a multiple sclerosis specialist or a neurologist who takes a special interest in multiple sclerosis because they're more up to date on the current treatments, the current things. There's always something going on in multiple sclerosis. So you really want a doctor who's in tune to that. So just any endocrinologist, while it may be a great endocrinologist if you have diabetes, but she should find somebody that is a specialist in Hashimoto's because maybe they won't be such an idiot. So these doctors who see everything, the doctor's like a hammer and everything they see is a nail.
definitely ready to sell me some shitty diet. So
Probably
I
trying
uh
to sell you weight loss
I
surgery,
leave
hon.
and I'm like, this just everything felt bad. I don't trust anything that happened in that doctor's office. Like the feeling was like terrible. And I was like mad because like also I've been working my butt off to make changes, like actual changes. I haven't been on a diet, but I have like changed.
Well, yeah, that's her main thing. And listen, Anna's beautiful. She's a beautiful person. She was in the body positivity movement, and then she kind of got canceled out of that because she needed to lose weight. She has lipedema. She realized that her health was making it hard for her to do the things she wanted to do, which is travel, do stuff. So she got shunned from the body positivity movement. But now she's trying to sort of straddle both worlds, and it's just not working for her. She's another one. Listen, diet and exercise is the first go-to for everybody, but when it comes down to it, when you've been like death fat for more than, let's say, I don't know, in her case and Amber Lynn's case, over 10 years, you have to stop and do something drastic. Okay, it is clear intuitive eating is not working for you. Okay. You've got to stop. You got to weigh all your options, whether that's taking a medication or getting weight loss surgery, which nobody wants to hear. And I agree. And it's also like, I feel like I'm always touting weight loss surgery. It isn't right for everybody. But I'm telling you, for Anna and for Amber Lynn, that is the only way they're going to get to the not death fat level.
Change things like how much salt I put and stuff. And I started using,
And one other thing, I hate when people do this. Salt will cause you to retain a little bit of water. And depending on like a disease like liver disease or congestive heart failure, you really need to steer clear of sodium. But for the rest of us, you need sodium. It makes your food taste better and it doesn't add fat. Okay. So let's just get that clear. While it could cause you to gain a little bit of water weight, it is not going to cause you to gain actual fat, salt.
alternatives to sugar. Like I've just made natural organic changes and I've done the work. So it was like frustrating to walk into an office and feel like I made absolutely no progress and maybe had reverted. So fortunately, I had another appointment scheduled with my primary care doctor in the afternoon for some other stuff we're dealing with my anemia and also some lady problems. So
The lady problems can also be caused by Hashimoto's, but she has to watch this because, she could be in Amber Lynn territory where they are, she's getting to the point where she has uterine cancer and she needs a gynecologist. I wouldn't trust necessarily a primary to diagnose this. And actually, if her primary was any good, he'd be sending her to these various people who specialize in her issues, not just a general gynecologist. If they could find a gynecologist with a specialist of somebody with also an autoimmune disease or not a specialty, but like a special interest in it, just to treat her with her issues. Because while we're going to go on to say, or she's going to go on to say that the weight isn't causing these problems, it definitely amplifies it. And she needs to do more than just intuitive eat. Sorry, her clock is ticking, guys.
um, I get in with him. I take my labs because one of the problems I have is I don't have enough blood. So I can't like get labs all the time. So
Yeah, I
we
don't
need to like
understand this.
coordinate labs across doctors so we're not taking any blood that we don't need, right?
She might be
So I
so
take my
anemic.
labs
That's
to
what it
him.
is.
He looks at that.
She's probably anemic because of her female problems. They need to figure that out, and she needs to get. I had to get um, two iron infusions, which was terrible, but you got to do what you got to do.
And within 2 minutes of looking at them, he goes, "First off, I'm really proud of you." And I go, "What?" Because I had just like come from an appointment where I felt like I had been failing. He goes, "Yeah, when we started, you were pre-diabetic. You're not anymore. You're not pre-diabetic anymore. You are right at a normal range, and you did that in 4 months. I'm really proud of you." And then I was like, "Me? I did that?" And then he was like, your cholesterol was already good, but you've also lowered it and you've lowered your blood pressure." And he's like, "And everything I can see in these documents is that you're taking your medication, you're doing the things we discussed, and it's changing you." He's like, "When I talked to you in the beginning, I told you this wasn't a 3 month journey and that it was a 3 year journey, maybe four." And he's like, "You're on that journey and you're doing a good job." And I said, "Well, hold on. You mean to tell me that I am no longer diabetic? I've lowered my cholesterol, lowered my blood pressure, and like there's other positive health signs." And then I proceed to tell him about this other doctor and all the things she said. And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Let me see the medication." So I pull up the medication. He goes, "Yeah, that is the exact same thing I prescribed you already." Um, he's like, "I can't really say anything, but that's disappointing to see her prescribe that for you."
Yeah, he should have never. All right, he just probably had a card catalog of all the different doctors and said, here's an endocrinologist. Go to this one. That sucks. That's not a good primary doctor.
So he's like, "Listen, I can take care of your Hashimoto's for now. If it progresses to a certain point, we'll have to find a different endo. But, we can work together on finding that solution." He's like, "Also, I want you to know that I see the changes you're making." And he's like, "It's really important when you're going through this that I acknowledge those for
Yeah, it's called blowing smoke up her butt. Sorry, guys.
you because I can see that you're working hard." And there was a doctor who was in, well, residency, a student. And I just was like so happy because that student saw the right way to handle the situation. In the first doctor, they only saw my weight and they didn't look at all the work I'd been doing and all the changes that had been made as a result. They only saw me in the state that I was in.
Yeah, so all right. So first of all, her doctor was a jerk. Okay, let's just call a spade a spade. But I'm telling you that losing weight helps. It's never going to cure her Hashimoto's. It might didn't cure my MS. Maybe it didn't even make my MS better. It was just that for whatever reason, I was able to handle it better. Maybe I got lucky. But let me tell you, taking your weight under control is the first step to really fixing everything. And if she had her weight under control, this would never be a problem. So,
Front of them at that moment.
I mean, well, there's always going to be idiot doctors, but if you're down to a more manageable weight, maybe, she's really tall. So, like, under 200 pounds or so, that would stop them from blaming that first. So, and then to me, I'm a little biased, but I think losing weight is probably the easiest thing for her in the year 2023. Okay. Yes, she's battling a thyroid, and I don't know what her interactions with her medicines are. But again, I had multiple sclerosis, had weight loss, and treated with hardcore medicines with multiple sclerosis, like Gilenya, which was brand new at the time. And I still got weight loss surgery and it made me better. So, I don't know what's going on with her, but she needs to take care of her weight first.
Whereas my primary care doctor, who I love, could see and could tell the work I'd been putting in.
That's because he blows
And
smoke up your ass.
it just made me realize that we need more doctors like that. It's it's your right to have a doctor like that.
Yeah, we all need doctors who will tell us what we want to hear, not tell us what we need to hear. This is so dangerous. Guys, this is why I'm here. Jeez, I can't believe this is happening.
So if your doctor isn't listening to you and acknowledging you when you work hard and helping you find solutions that aren't a
You're a good
diet,
girl. You want a
right?
sticker?
And I say that because when I think of a diet, I think of something that's not maintainable, right? It's something that's
Oh.
there as a quick fix or a solution. Where everything that I've been working on with my health team and the people I trust have been things that are going to be lifelong changes for me. And they have not been painful to make. They've required maybe more preparation and
Yeah, my grandmother used to always say, you have to suffer to be beautiful. Not that a diet needs to be painful, but she really needs to step it up at this point. Sorry, guys. I know that's mean. I try not to be mean. I really like her. And I'm not trying to say this from a place of hate. I'm saying it from a place of I've been there.
a little bit more thoughtfulness, but they haven't required me for to like turn my life upside down and never eat another cookie. Like that's not a realistic way of living. And I've had the best
Yeah. So secret, if you get weight loss surgery and when you get past and your stomach stretches out a little bit to where you could be more normal, you can have a cookie. Okay?
results I've ever had. Like I went from pre-diabetic to not diabetic in 4 months. And I didn't do anything that felt like a burden. And not once did I punish myself for what I ate. It's
You're
it's just
lucky.
to say there are good doctors out there and you are worth fighting for a good one. And small caveat, because I think we have to acknowledge this anytime we talk about health, and the more I become aware of the healthcare system and frankly how it's screwed up, it's good to point out that even going to a shitty doctor is a luxury right now. And that's
Yeah, make sure let's drag the American healthcare system while we're at it. That helps.
also a huge part of the problem, right?
She's
I
privileged.
look at
She is
my
privileged.
situation and luckily I can afford health care and even the extra costs, which are sometimes crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I
A
agree.
lot of people in the US can't afford that.
Okay, hun. You're
And
gonna
that's
break
like
that
basic
soapbox.
healthcare. And then we punish them because they can't deal with their health issues because they can't afford to just get the basic level of health treatment. So I
Well, okay, let me stop you there, honey. Most, like I know people on Medicaid who got this weight loss surgery. Just saying, Medicaid is not the best. You may not have choices in doctors so much, but I know a lot of people who've been treated very well. I know this Come at me if you'd like in the comments. I get it. It's fun to drag on the American healthcare system, but it's all we've got. And you complaining about it is not going to help you, hun. You need to help you.
I think there's a whole other ripple to this of you can go to the doctor and you can try to find help and you got to find someone that's not going to judge you, but it's already like a step up to be able to go to a doctor. So the more I go through this, I just feel like simultaneously very privileged and slighted at the same time.
No,
Privileged I can
we're
get this
privileged.
treatment.
Anybody who lives in the United States is privileged because sometimes our poorest people are one of the richest people in other countries, okay? Um, everybody's got their own thing, but listen, I just think we could have done without this soapbox.
But also slighted that I have to fight so hard to find the right people to treat me.
That'll blow
Um,
smoke up your butt.
I think the thing I want to say with all this video is like, you deserve a doctor who cares about you.
Yeah, of
And if your
course.
doctor is not doing it for you,
Well, okay, and then this is the other thing. So it's not necessarily that the doctor is warm and fuzzy. Like, do you ever watch House? You remember that old series House? The guy was a moron idiot, but he was brilliant. I would rather a jerk that gets the job done and tells me what I need to hear than somebody there who's fluffy and isn't aggressively treating my disease. And a part of the aggressive treatment, like for my MS, was talking the person into rapidly getting to a more healthy weight before worse things happen, like actual cancer.
don't stay with them. Go to someone else. Find someone who's going to listen to you and help you make changes that are meaningful, tangible, and endurable, right? Endurable, is that a word? I don't even know if that's a word. But lasting changes. Anyway, so today I felt kind of crappy about myself until I learned I was actually doing okay. And that, my friends, is the short story of two doctors. One that was doing it right and one that, well, just wasn't. So with that, guys, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Check you later.
All right, guys, I figured I'd close this video out by coming outside. I was looking at what I filmed before and it looks pretty dark and I like things light and airy. So I figured I'd come outside because it was sunny, but as they say in Florida, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute, because the wind started to kick up and we're gonna get some rain here soon. But anyways, I did want to add sort of my own anecdotal story. Now, I wouldn't be Mama Goob if I didn't add my own anecdotal story, now would I be? So what I wanted to say is I'm no stranger to crappy doctors being mean about your weight and just being, it's irrelevant, right? So when I was giving birth to the Goob, now the Goob is my 21-year-old and his name from his friends is literally, his nickname is literally Goob. So that's how I became Mama Goob. Anyways, when I was giving birth to the Goob, my water broke at work, right? And my water just didn't trickle like they say, oh, your water will trickle. No, it ruptured and you needed a mop to clean it up. And I, continued to rupture to the hospital. So I had to sit on like a car mat and we had some blankets and it was a mess and it was a surprise. I wasn't, it was actually my due date. And they're like, you'll never give birth on your due date. Well, guess what? I went into labor on my due date. So we get to the hospital and, I struggle into the room and they're like, oh yeah, we're definitely keeping you. Because a lot of times if you've ever had a baby, if you're not enough far along in labor, they'll make you go home. But for me, because I was so ruptured, they're like, oh, no, you're staying. So what I said before about when the doctor gets very quiet or the person who is examining you gets quiet, it's true. So when they were examining me, they got a little quiet and I got really scared, okay? And they're like, oh. And I'm like, oh, what? Well, the baby's breech. I'm like, what? The baby's breech? And they're like, yep. So they called my doctor in and my doctor's like, well, we could turn the baby, but he'll probably turn back and it's very painful, or we could just do a C-section. Well, I'm like, all right, well, let's do the C-section then. It was not my birth plan to have a C-section, but at the end of the day, as long as the baby gets out healthy, who cares? But the problem came when the anesthesiologist came to talk to me about the spinal block. Now, I was maybe I was like 320 or so, so much less than Anna, much less than Amberlynn, probably right around Alexandra's weight. And so he was talking to me about the spinal block, and he asked me, well, how much do you weigh? And I had just been to the OBGYN that morning, so I gave him my weight. And like I said, I think it was like 320. And he goes to me, well, you need to do something about that. You need to eat, eat better and diet and exercise. And he was like lecturing me about my weight. So I had just, picture this, I had just found out that my baby was breech and I was having to go into, all effect, an emergency C-section, because they're like, well, by the way, it was like 10 o'clock at this time, so they're like, well, let's hurry up and just get this done. So it was like boom, boom in the surgery. So he was lecturing me on my weight, and I'm like, I know, I'm going to work on it, after I have the baby. And so he leaves the room. So I start crying. Like I said, I'm already nervous. So my husband leaves the room, Mr. Goob, and proceeds to verbally tear the you-know-what out of this guy. He's like, you made my wife cry. She's already upset, blah, blah, blah. They had to call security. Now, my husband did not get thrown out by any means, but the security guard said to my husband, you might want to not kill him because he's the only anesthesiologist at this hospital at this moment. So needless to say, when the anesthesiologist came back in, he was very apologetic. He's like, look, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, or whatever. I know you're going through it right now. And sure enough, the C-section went fine. The Goob was born. He was like 8.5 pounds. The 17-year-old Goob, or the 18-year-old Goob, it was 9.5. So I've always had big babies. I've always been big. I was a big baby, but it just shows you doctors are assholes. Some of them. And, like I said, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get them to shut up. And if they're saying stuff about your weight, there's probably a reason. So Anna is continuing to do the whole intuitive eating and such. And I think it's just, she's wasting time, guys. Again, I feel like I'm always pushing surgery. And it's only because I'm reacting to these morbidly obese women, death fats for all intents and purposes, who have had years and years and years of being this size. And I will tell you, the problems, they just mount up and mount up and mount up until you're past the point of no return, where even if losing weight isn't going to do much to get you out of the bad health conditions. So that's why I'm pushing like Amber Lynn and Glitter and Lasers to get the surgery. Just get it over with, get it done, lose the weight, take it seriously. You can intuitively eat after you've had surgery. It's not going to be the whole, oh, I can't have a piece of birthday cake for forever. You'll eventually be able to have cake, but you've got to learn how to control yourself. So, even Alexandra to, a point. I don't know, again, I didn't follow her. I watched some silly, entertainment sort of video about her, about what her weight is, what she makes, what she does. So I don't know about her, so I doubt she's 173 pounds. But whatever she is, I'm sure she has lost weight and is in a little bit more of a safe, healthy place, because as for Glitter and Lasers, the weight did not cause Hashimoto's. In my case, my weight did not cause my multiple sclerosis. And Amber Lynn, it didn't cause her dangling ankle, but then again, it really impacts it. So stop these YouTube personalities who make bank off of their size. Their time, it's ticking. They gotta do something, guys. And us here, oh, you do you, girl, you be healthy. No. Yeah, the time to be healthy was about 10 years ago. Now it's time to take action. But anyways, that's all I had to say. Let's see. I'll probably see you next time. Hopefully Amber Lynn will post soon. I just checked and she hadn't. So we'll talk again. And if not, I'll have something coming to you this weekend. But other than that, enjoy your day. I love you. Mwah.